This 1965 Dodge Coronet was so outrageous, the NHRA banned it from drag racing. Hi there, Rick DeBrule with another chapter on the automotive evolution here once again at the Martin Auto Museum, a wonderful collection of more than 170 cars here in Phoenix that tell all kinds of fun stories. And this one right here, this 1965 Dodge Coronet, is a particularly interesting story about how a factory can push the limits so far that they eventually break them. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But first, make sure you like and subscribe down below. And in the comments, let me know what I got right and most importantly, what I got wrong, because there's always something we make a mistake on. You can't research everything. So this particular car right here, this 1965 Dodge Coronet is interesting because when this left the factory, this was never intended to be driven on the street. This was one of 101 special cars built by the Dodge factory whose only purpose in life was to go drag racing. You know, back then, the concept of win on Sunday and sell on Monday was huge in the marketing world. It was so critical that they made sure that they were actually building special cars for just that purpose. And this was one of them. One of the cars designed to go in a class called AFX. Well, first, let's talk about the history of AFX racing. AFX stood for the A division of the factory experimental class. It was a class introduced by the National Hot Rod Association, the NHRA, back in 1964, as a response to automakers pushing the limits of superstock racing. Manufacturers like Ford and Chrysler were building increasingly radical drag racing cars, and the NHRA needed a class to contain these factory-backed experiments without disrupting the traditional stock classes. Now, the AFX class allowed more freedom, engine swaps, lightweight components, and some pretty unique and wild performance setups that went beyond what was available to the average consumer. By 1965, Chrysler decided to take it a step further. They introduced radically altered wheelbase cars, moving the front and rear axles to shift the weight for better launches. Now, these cars were fast, but they were also very far removed from the true production vehicles. The NHRA responded by banning them from AFX competition. The NHRA argued that they no longer resembled stock cars. They violated the new rules, limiting wheelbase modifications and special materials. But the ban did not stop the momentum. These machines became fan favorites in match racing, and they evolved into what would soon be known as funny cars. In just 2 seasons, AFX went from factory test beds to outlaw drag machines, leaving behind a legacy of innovation, controversy, and some of the wildest racing of the 1960s. So what is it about this car that blew out the rule books for NHRA racing back in 1965? Well, this is what's called an altered wheelbase car. What they've done is they've altered the wheelbase. They've taken that rear axle in the back and moved it 15 inches forward. If you were to take a look at a stock Dodge Coronet, you'll notice the wheel well is actually further back. Now it's right behind the door. And up front, they've done the same thing again. This is moved forward 10 inches. Once again, this distance between the door and the wheel well has now been moved forward. Why would they do that? Better weight distribution. The idea is to get as much weight over the rear tires as you can. They couldn't move the engine any further back, so they moved the axles forward. What that did was put more weight on the rear tires, gave them the ability to get a little more bite as it's coming off the line. But doing that, the NHRA said, wait a minute, you've now stretched the rules beyond what we consider normal. And so having this massively altered wheelbase took things just a little bit too far. Let's take a walk around and talk about our 1965 Dodge Coronet. This is the AFX Racer conversion. We'll talk more about what's under the hood in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about the car and how this was one of those 101 factory cars that were designed to be special lightweight drag cars. For example, a regular Coronet would have dual headlights up front. This only has a single headlight. In fact, you can see there's a little panel that's been created to take the place of the second headlight. Don't need that for weight, that's for sure. Plenty of other things that have been taken off this car. For example, it would have come from the factory with a windshield wiper right here, but now for drag racing it's been replaced. You see that little plug there. There's a plug on the other side because once again, you do not need that for drag racing. This hood is a fiberglass hood. It's not the original metal hood. You can see the big scoop and of course the place for the velocity stacks out the top. There's hood pins right here. These are just for presentation to get them up in the air just a little bit further. But once again, creating a lightweight hood up front help with that weight just a little bit. This is what's called the sedan body style. Now, this is different than the original 12 drag racers that the factory converted. They converted 12 cars that were done by a company called Ambulwagon, which, interestingly enough, converted a lot of ambulances. And those were hardtop bodies. This is a sedan body, and you know that because it's got this B pillar right here, this solid section. Also, the hardtop bodies had a wraparound windshield that curved a lot more right here. These sedan bodies have a flatter windshield that goes across, so you can see that this is not one of those original factory cars. In the back, now remember, we've taken that wheel and we've moved it so it's right behind the door. As a result, everything behind it, while it looks like it's an original Dodge Coronet body, is actually slightly different. The significance being that now the gas tank has been pulled out of the back, and this is a fiberglass trunk opener. And so as a result, we've now lightened it up just a little bit more. You're not going to put anything else back there because, once again, the goal was to move all the weight forward. These, of course, are what are called slicks, drag racing slicks, big wide tires with only one purpose, the goal to get as much power and horsepower onto the ground as possible. Up front, well, you had something really simple, very tiny, small wheels. You didn't do a lot of driving, a lot of steering, but just enough to make sure that you could get this car moving. Another significant change is underneath. Look at this straight axle that they've replaced the regular front suspension with. Once again, this has a little bit with some leaf springs, but not the kind of suspension that a 1965 Dodge would normally have. This is all about one thing and one thing only, making sure that you could get down that quarter mile as fast as humanly possible. All right, let's check out this very cool engine compartment on our 1965 Dodge drag racer. Now, if you had a stock 1965 Dodge Coronet, it would have come with a, well, the base engine was a 225 cubic inch slant six. I mean, 145 horsepower. There were also plenty of V8 options, but this one right here, this Coronet A990 with the W051 package, got the most potent engine that Chrysler could make, the 426 Hemi. But this engine right here was built specifically for super stock drag racing. Unlike the Hemi found in a standard production car, the version right here would have been delivered with this car, and it had plenty of goodies designed solely for drag racing. Things like a magnesium intake manifold, forged aluminum pistons, a lightweight aluminum cylinder head. This particular engine would have had a cast iron block with cross-bolted main caps, which would have added extra strength, which they would have needed on those quarter-mile runs. From the factory, it came with 425 horsepower, and its original form, coming from the factory, it would have had dual Holley 4-barrel carburetors on a cross ram air intake. This one, though, has fuel injection and these big, huge velocity stacks. Fuel injection was necessary because carbs couldn't handle alcohol or nitro fuels. The stacks, these are a form of sonic tuning. They were used on racing engines to improve airflow into the fuel injectors. And the advantage of these big, huge stacks is they had just a touch of extra torque, which was handy on the drag strip. Now, the engine up front has plenty of other modifications. All the stuff you normally see on the front of the engine, it's gone. Well, they don't need a water pump, they don't need a radiator because the engine's only going to be running for a few minutes during its quarter-mile run and getting to the drag strip. And right there, that is the fuel tank. That's what's feeding the fuel injection system. Anything that isn't absolutely necessary is gone up front. The interior of this car is about as basic as it could come from the factory. They have stripped out just about everything they can to make this car as light as they can. At first glance, when you see the speedometer on this car, it looks like a standard Coronet speedometer, but you look at the rest of the dash and you realize it's missing a lot of stuff. No real climate controls here. This is what they call a radio delete panel. This is where the radio would have been. Instead, it has this small panel that is hiding that. All the gauges have probably been disconnected. The wiring's been removed. This is the light switch, which is still here because it would have been delivered from the factory. It would have been required to have lights. Some toggles have replaced whatever switches would have been down here. The most important thing they would have been this thing right here, the tachometer, right in front of their field of vision. So as they were looking down the road, they could see exactly what the engine was doing. This was an automatic. These seats, well, these are seats that were put on specifically for racing. They're mounted down. There's no adjustments to them. They just have a simple 2-point harness, a regular seat belt. 5-point harnesses wouldn't come along until later. In the back, well, there is no back seat. You'll notice all they have is a roll bar. And once again, this is a roll bar. This is not even a roll cage because this is 1965. But pulling out that back seat meant it was just a little bit lighter. The door is also modified. The door panel, you'll notice that in a normal one, you'd have someplace to roll up the window, a crank. This, all it has is a handle to open the door because the window has been pulled out. Don't need that anymore. Then once again, that's just extra weight. You think about the extra weight you can lose by pulling the window out, getting the door handle out, whatever trim was associated with here. This was all about making the interior as simple and as effective as possible. Well, this is one of the 101 lightweight cars that was produced by the factory that year by Dodge. This was not one of the 12 factory racers that were actually converted by Amblewagon. As a result, somebody bought this and then had to do the conversion on their own, but they had guidance. Dodge actually would give these builders the blueprint so they could do it exactly the same way the factory was doing it. So yeah, they were independent. They were buying the car from the factory, but let's just say they were getting plenty of factory help. By the way, when the original factory-backed AFX cars made their debut with the AHRA, it actually happened right here in Arizona, not far from where this museum is, at a place called the Beeline Dragway. Long gone, but it happened here in Arizona. In 1966, the AFX cars got even crazier. They were completely leaving their factory roots behind. They had tube chassis and flip-top fiberglass bodies. They created machines that really had very little resemblance to the street vehicles they were based on. And while the NHRA fought it for a while, they eventually realized those wild cars were exactly what the fans wanted. So in 1969, the funny car class was born. But in 1965, short of having one of those 12 factory drag cars, this car right here was about as wild as you could get. And it's a fun snapshot into the evolution of drag racing in America.